It's our weekly sports episode. Well, you might as well call it our infamous podcast about sports and stuff. Where on this podcast, you get to hear a little bit of information about what's going on in the sports world, what's going on in the video game world, a little bit of the technology information, get a little bit of a music knowledge chat, two of our personal faves that we do on the show, the artist spotlight, and of course the infamous ass of the week. So stick around. You might actually enjoy the episode. What's up? What's going on? Past podcast from a different locale. Normally I'd be recording in the studio. Now I'm just gonna be recording at the library or usually be on the go. Of course, y'all know I got the fan going in the background because as I tell y'all on most of my episodes, my goal is not to die. So I'm not gonna die on my own episode. I refuse. I have a unique co-host / special guest / 10-year cohort of mine joining me. I'm gonna let him introduce himself as he prefers to be introduced, and then we'll give a backstory and then kind of go from there. So,
yo, what up, everyone? My name is Breeze. I'm from New Jersey. I've known Mr. Taylor here, Brian, for 10 years. Been gaming together for 10 years, and finally, after a 10-year stint, we finally get the chance to actually link up for once, right in the middle, Baltimore, Maryland. And I appreciate him coming through.
In the heart of Baltimore, literally. To kind of give a backstory, a lot of you all, I'll give the backstory of us knowing each other, but I'll give the backstory of today to give everyone a little bit of an idea. Right before we recorded, we were like, yeah, let's go get something to eat, or let's go to like a little store. So he's from Jersey, of course, I'm from Virginia. So me being, and I guess this is one of those I'm kind of going to let layers down, but I'm not going to give too much personal information. Y'all know how I do. But where I'm from, I know personally, there's no, like, we have an actual ABC store. So it was like an adjustment for me to walk in a store that has liquor big as day. And it's like they got sodas, beer, and then literally all alcohol that you would buy at a normal ABC store. As you can just kind of walk around and like pick up whatever you need. I think it may have been shopping carts there, I don't remember, but we picked up what we needed to get, a little bit of stuff there, and then went to a little spot right near it that had it was almost like a one-stop shop for like burgers, hot dogs, whatever. Like, it's almost like one of those, it's kind of like a modern day cookout, but it was like a local cookout that was just like they cook everything right there on site. So
I think the dude said they had like collard greens and ribs and
mac and cheese. I'm like, yeah, let me get some mac and cheese and mozzarella sticks. So I mean, it's a dope setup. So I'm feeling it. But so that's that backstory, and then it kind of like ties into now because it's like the adjustment. But Breeze and I, like he said, we've known each other. It's been an eternity of backstory as far as we've always gamed together. He's been more of the football guy. I've been the basketball guy, but then I also jumped into like the puzzles. So anybody who knew me coming up, I was a Tetris, Dr. Mario, Crash Bandicoot when I had it at the time, a little bit here and there. Of course, the Nintendo flow was the endless thing. He collected a lot. He owned a lot of game systems. I did as well, but we linked up on Xbox 360. So he got his console in January of that year. I got mine in, I think, September or October. And we got online, got acquainted, like happened to run into each other through just a random game. We played Uno together, and that was kind of like I guess you can call it like the networking foundation.
You know what? I think it was more of you and I would sit down and actually play a couple games of Uno, kind of trying to catch up. How's your day?
Yeah.
How's your days? Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll actually sit there and think about like what game we want to play from between 2K, Madden, and Halo, to whatever we want to play, and we sit there and play Uno for about an hour.
Yeah, so we ran that, and then there was a third member who joined us. It was we almost had a full table. because one of the guys would also play with us, but it was kind of like an off and on thing. Our third member, he normally play with us. He was planning on coming. He couldn't make it. So Brett, if you're listening, hopefully the grind is good. Make that money, paper chase all day, all day. But we'll get in. We'll have 3 seats of Uno. This is back on the old Uno, not the new Uno, because I really don't. I don't really play the new Uno, but that's just me. But the old Uno, you basically would get on, play a real casual game of Uno. You could take as long as you wanted to play your turn. And we would sit and have like the open seat for whoever. So a fourth person would always come in. They'll sit. They might play. They might not play. But then they'll say, well, what y'all playing? And what y'all talk about this, that, and the third. And if they kind of felt left out, they would just leave. And to us, it didn't matter because it was like that was kind of like our networking and catch up time. But Breeze and I, we were heavy. Like our heaviest connection was on Gears because I know we would literally go through missions and campaigns like it was nothing. We really didn't do Horde online too much. I tried to jump. I think I made my attempts with Call of Duty back then. Like I told him, like Gears 4, if I play it or watch it now, it's a lot different. So
you wasn't really a big
FPS.
First person shoot 'em up. But yeah, you tried the Call of Duties.
Yeah.
That really didn't work out.
But it's funny because now I play Black Ops. Like I like Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 is one of my favorite games. FYI, a lot of people don't know that. So I bangs with Black Ops 2. I have Black Ops 3, but I don't really play it that often.
I think the third one was like one of my favorites.
Yeah, the third one is pretty decent. And then anyone who talks Call of Duty, anytime you use the word ghost, it's like some people didn't like it. A lot of people liked it. I was kind of one of those ones that was like, this is when they kind of made that change. It was still feet to the ground as they called it, but after that, when you started to do the exosuits and the flying and all that, I was like, all right, y'all killing me. We're not really hitting the point or the mark on what I'm looking for. So it went the way it did, but it's no big deal. So we linked up. We're here now. Like I said, we're in Baltimore. I said B-more, either or. But we were here. We had a third member who we're going to be linking up with tomorrow. We're kind of going to hang and do some stuff tomorrow during the day and then late on that afternoon. Get some retro gaming going. So any of y'all that know me or have heard me mention, I do have like a retro console that's like everything. So I was looking to use it where I am now, but I'm unable to. Retro TV is in like literally just the screw-in connection on the back. So any of my techies who know about that know that life. But there's no RGB connections, no HDMI. So it is what it is. But
yeah, this is the type of TV that you had to go to channel 3 to actually start playing games for
and
all you old heads out there. I'm 30, so I mean, yeah. I grew up in the 90s.
Yeah, you the legit 90s. You had the legit 90s life, being an 80s baby on the low.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
When I was dead broke, you couldn't picture this.
Yeah, so Smalls. So let me go ahead and let y'all know now before we continue. This is a lot of people know me for music, but he kind of takes the music knowledge to like level 50, which is okay because I don't knock it because I got a lot of musical connections who have to remind me of bring me back to my musical heyday. This podcast, we may throw some musical conversation. It's going to be kind of an improv, shoot at the mill, mess around, joke around a little bit. But we did have like, I guess you can call it a story, another story, then kind of like a gaming rewind of just talking general conversation, and then kind of just let it flow from there. So today was my first experience. I believe this was your 4th game, you said, for arena football, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's been to plenty of professional arena football games. The closest professional arena football game I would consider was the Richmond Raiders, if I'm not mistaken, that was the name. They've went to another division, I think. I'm not sure, but I did see a game or two of theirs a few years ago, and I hadn't been really to a professional arena game. And it was even more ironic, the team that we went to see. It was kind of like a win-win for him, and it was a win-win for me too, because the facility we went to was it might be an older facility, but the team who they have is a new team. It's like a expansion team that came into the Arena Football League. And they were playing his team. He was going for Philadelphia. So the score was kind of I call it first 48. It was a blowout by the first half.
See, for all you guys that don't know what arena football is, it's pretty much played on a basketball court. It's played indoors. It's 25 yards wide and then 50 yards long.
Length, yeah.
So it's, if you think of a high scoring NFL game, which is like 48-42,
Yeah.
that's a low scoring game for arena football. It's very fast paced, 9 players. I give you a prime example. Kurt Warner, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL, came from arena football.
Yeah.
Vinatieri, who won those Super Bowls for Tom Brady back in the beginning of 2000s, came from arena football. So there are a lot of few great players that came from over there. But what Brian was saying was that the score was pretty much a blowout. I think by halftime, I think it was like 40 something to 7. Which the final score was like 77 to 21.
Yeah.
I'm about an hour and a half outside of Philly, so my favorite team is called the Philadelphia Soul. So it just happened that when I got the tickets, noticed that they were playing Philly, so it was a win-win for me. Put on a Philly shirt and actually went through to the game.
Yeah. So for like I said, the portion of this is mainly to talk about my experience of an arena football, of a professional arena football game. And it actually was interesting because you go to if you go to professional games, I haven't gone to a pro football game, but going to like a pro basketball game or any pro sports at all, like soccer, soccer is a little different because you don't really have like any media timeout per se, because soccer is a nonstop sport. But going to a pro basketball game, you see they'll play the game, and then after a certain point, it's like, all right, media timeout, or a pro hockey game as well. It was like having all those little timeouts. It's like, all right, you don't really think about it much, but arena football, there are so many like timeouts that happen that are not even like team timeouts that are used. So it's mainly opportunities to kind of like brand and build like the network and the knowledge base of the sport and like people getting into the sport. What's ironic about it to me, and I guess because I'm always talking about this, because most people hear me talk about it all the time, there were a lot of branded businesses. Obviously, as y'all know, I'm not going to say what my company is, but my company was one of those brand businesses that were branded. But there were other companies that were listed that they do have the kind of... I'm going to record that and edit that out of the podcast, but he just going to have to accept it for what it is. I'll record that, remove that one too, because I'm going to play it back, so it don't matter.
I'm going to keep saying it.
You want me to end this podcast right now, and I can kick you off my show? I'll tell you why I don't talk about my name of my business after the show. But anyway, so the game itself, from my experience, I actually enjoyed it. I truly think it was a good show. It was a good game to experience the environment. The game itself was horrible because it was a one-sided game, but it was what it was. So big props to Philly for winning. It was ironic because he had on his Philadelphia shirt for Ben Simmons, quote unquote, trust the process. But
hey, that's Jamel Abid.
That's still that's all Philadelphia though. That's the whole Philadelphia regime. I'm just gonna put it as a whole group. So since I have the opportunity, and since I have coincidentally enough, a music techie and a sports guy, he's a Green Bay fan, so I'm hoping he's not going to be overly biased about his team's record, because we are about a few days away from preseason starting. I'll probably be doing this as an add-on story later on.
Let me get this straight. There are teams that I like that are from my area.
He's a Green Bay fan.
There are teams that I don't like from my area. I grew up right in between New York and Philadelphia. My favorite teams, that I'm just gonna put it out there, when it comes to basketball, I'm a Sixers fan. I do support the Clippers as a West Coast team, all the way back from Lamar Odom, 99. Football, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. I hate the Jets, I hate the Giants, and I especially do not like the Eagles. When it comes to baseball, I do like the national team. I like the Phillies, but I grew up, because of my grandmother, I'm a big Boston Red Sox fan. So there goes my teams: the Sixers, the Packers, The Red Sox. Uh,
Green
Not-
Bay. He's still a Packers fan. That's all I'm gonna call him every time because whenever Green Bay plays Carolina, he literally hit me up like in 10. We playing right? I'm like, I just woke up and I just left church, so let me get my life and I'll watch the game and see what happens. So.
Yeah, then I'd be like, yeah, the game started like 20 minutes ago.
And I'll still tune in like it started the first quarter, so it's no big deal.
Then he'll look at me. Well, he'll text me back, dude. It's like 11:30. I go, well, the game started for you and I like 20 minutes ago. All the trash talk.
So yeah, I mean, it rolls the way it does. So, as I mentioned, we have the projected season breakdown of which teams are going to have good records. Which teams can have so-so records. I know I'm honest in saying I'll be fair in looking at. Matter of fact, I'll since it is the past podcast, I'll pass it to you. Since you are a prospect Green Bay fan, do you feel as though Green Bay is going to break 10 games this year?
You know what? Like I looked at their schedule, probably about a week ago.
Okay.
And our division consists of Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears, and the Minnesota Vikings. So I already know for a fact that within our division, obviously we play each team twice.
Yeah, that's just 6. So out of those 6, how many do you think?
Out of those 6, I believe that we're going to wind up going 4-2. Because I can know one of the teams that we're going to wind up losing to is Chicago at least once.
Right.
And that's just me being real.
Yeah.
As far as Minnesota or Detroit, one of those games we're gonna wind up slipping up. So that's why I'm giving at least 4-2.
Okay.
I mean, I see us going. Probably 12-4.
12-4. Okay.
11-5 at worst.
All right.
Everybody remembers from last year, and we can't really talk about last year, but it just seems like we're more of a comeback team.
Yeah.
So like we'll start losing in the middle, lose out like 3-4 games in the middle,
and
then that's when we're gonna wind up. Aaron Rodgers is gonna say something ridiculous like he said a few years ago. He spelled that relax, and we wound up running the table last year.
Yeah.
Just barely losing to Atlanta to get into the Super Bowl, but
yeah.
I see about 11-5.
Okay.
12-4 maybe.
Okay.
Maybe NFC Championship, but hey,
step by step.
Hey, let's just get to the playoffs first.
Yeah, unlike Carolina. So I don't really know if I'm going to be too harsh on my team, and a lot of my friends who are Carolina fans may be listening. Don't take this the wrong way. I support my boys, but I also am an honest fan. I won't say. I mean, the heavy shot is 10-6. The blind shot would be 6-10, which I don't see that happening. I feel like we could go. We'll probably either be 7-9 or 8-8 this year. And the reason why is because we ended up getting a lottery pick in the draft. Out of I guess it was DMC from I think it was Stanford, running back. So we got him. Cam should be well recovered, have a decent year. We'll have all our wides back. Our defense is questionable, and it's just kind of like I don't want to say a recovery year, but I say this every year about our division. Other than the 3 years that we won the division straight, most of the time it's like playing reverse of the division. So 1 year New Orleans could be the best team in the division, and Tampa Bay may be the worst team. Following year, Tampa Bay may be the best team, and then New Orleans might fall in the middle, and everybody else kind of just gets their place accordingly. So I'll put it out there and just say it as 7-9 or 8-8 would be like the two best shots I can give right offhand for Carolina's record.
What's crazy? I actually I don't mean to cut you off, but I was actually reading this NFL quarterback tiers, last night into this morning.
Uh huh.
And let me see if you actually legitimately agree with me for this.
Okay.
And you guys can let Brian know, like, if you guys agree with this, and he'll get back to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll see it in the comments.
So, it said, like, the very first word is called elite quarterbacks. And they have 3 elite quarterbacks in it. It's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Drew Brees as elite quarterbacks.
Yeah.
At the next column, it says very good quarterbacks. It has Matt Ryan, Andrew Luck, Carr, Roethlisberger, and Wilson from Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are good quarterbacks. Stanford, Rivers, Andy Dalton, Mariota, Winston, Cam Newton, and Cousins. Then there's mediocre. Manning, Tannehill, Smith, Palmer, Bradford, Flacco. Then there's below average quarterbacks. Blake Bortles. Then more time to tell. Dak.
All the rookies.
Pretty much all the rookies. Dak, Winston, Goff, Tyrod, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Let me know what you guys think about. Let us know what you think about that whole.
Yeah. Do you like so? I mean, that list. I guess because I know you mentioned it and I saw it and I need to like really break it down and decipher it. I feel like the titling of elite, the elite term is used very loosely. Number one, and I think that needs to be acknowledged because for whatever reason, there's always this view or this observation that. Okay, I don't believe that story. Somebody just posted sometimes I always like fake stories. Somebody put that Kaepernick going to the Jets, but I believe when I see it. But for whatever reason, elite is such a blind term, and then it's always they have a tendency to base it on the moment because not this after the Super Bowl season, Cam was in the conversation of elite. That came and went super fast because last season he didn't have one of the greatest years. So I mean I don't know. Like I said, I'll look at the names and that may generate into a blog on the podcast page. I'll see. But my personal take on it is it fluctuates by like it's almost like like that list the list that you had. And I'll get the link from you for it and post it in the show notes for this episode.
No doubt.
Because in that way I can kind of have everybody look at it, so they're not like, well, where do you get these numbers? I mean, who said this and where is it being said? Because every show gives an opinion, and we'll go into that in a minute. Because that's the other story that I did mention that I was going to share or talk about, and that'll probably cover for like a good amount of this podcast, which is the top 10 players of the NBA. Which I got a lot. That might take up majority of it.
When I mentioned that to you earlier, I saw that spark in your eye.
Because it was triggered. Because it triggered me. Because I just don't like. I think people. It's a tough thing to say, but it ties into the elite scenario. So like, you can't sit and name or put a quarterback as elite or remove. Like for instance, they had what was it? I think Eli was like mediocre, but Eli has 2 championships. But Eli has 2 championships mean nothing because. Unless they're playing New England, and that's when it's like we give them credit.
Yeah, because that's also something that I didn't understand. Like, how are you going to put Luck and Carr in at very good quarterbacks when Luck has been pretty much hurt, like on and off for the last couple of years?
Yeah.
Carr actually just exploded into the scene.
Carr had a good 2 years. The year before wasn't his best, but this past season, he kind of made his mark. He made his mark along with the fact that. If he didn't make his mark, he wouldn't have got the contract extension.
I'm not trying to take anything away from Carr, but I know like Luck really hasn't done anything like spectacular.
And they put Brady as elite, right?
And they put Brady as elite.
That's a shoe-in, but okay.
The 3 quarterbacks that actually they named as very good, Matt Ryan, at least he went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Roethlisberger went to Super Bowls and won.
Yeah.
Wilson went to 2. He's 1-2. Carr and Luck, all right, they'd never seen it.
Yeah.
But then they put Manning as mediocre. Like, yeah, Manning looks like he's like, no offense to anybody out there, but, you know, Manning doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. He looks like he's like retarded or something.
But I mean, man.
But I mean,
so here's Manning's flaw. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish, and I'm gonna say.
But
whatever.
I mean, I guess it's because of the fact that you put a decent team around a decent quarterback or great players around a quarterback, which makes him look good. Hey, he got 2 championships out of it, or Super Bowls, whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
He has 2 Super Bowls around him. So, I mean, I think he shouldn't be a mediocre quarterback. I mean, every year he's within like the top 5, 6 quarterbacks every year.
Right.
Only behind like Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, and then I'd say maybe Matt Ryan and Roethlisberger from Pittsburgh.
Right.
As far as your quarterback, Cam, I really do think Cam. They have Cam listed as good.
Cam is always going to be in that fight though, regardless, because it's him getting over the hump. It like the year when they went to the Super Bowl, they played against Denver. He laid an egg. He pretty much just stunk it up. So it was, you know, that part is what they look at, but no one takes out. Like, I think what's tough about it is it's the statistics that kind of are the make and break. Just like no one likes saying it, but and I always feel like this is a unique conversation, and this will really be a heavy hit, and then we'll get on the basketball hit that I got. But everyone always makes the reference about, gosh,
drawing a blank.
Dolphins. Hold up. Dan
Marino.
Dan Marino is always known as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But everyone doesn't like to put him in that category of being a great quarterback, despite the fact that he has stats that a lot of quarterbacks may not even come close to reaching. But it's because of the ring.
You know, a lot of these records that are being broken, Brian, and you know me, I'm more of a football head. I like all sports, but I'm more in tune with football.
Right.
A lot of Dan Marino's records are just being broken within the last couple of years. Peyton Manning's broken a couple. Brett Favre has broken a couple when he was playing, and we all know that Brett Favre is 150 years old.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was playing, but he was a record-based quarterback. Like I hate. I know that's kind of and I know, like I said, I know you. That was the guy before he decided he was going to take his talents and go traveling, but.
Who do you think he is? LeBron takes his talents.
I mean, he took his talents to the Jets and to Minnesota. So
to the Big Apple.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the move to New York was just him getting out of Green Bay for that little stint, because he kind of knew he was losing his place, and that was just reality.
And a stat for you for everyone out there. The reason why Brett Favre decided to leave was, we all go back to Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for 5 years. And it was Aaron Rodgers' turn to start. And there was one game that Green Bay was losing to Dallas. And I think they were losing like 21-3 or 21-7. And then they just scored right before half, so it was 28-7. Brett Favre gets hurt within the last 8 minutes of the game. Aaron Rodgers came in and just barely lost. So it was Aaron Rodgers' time to actually legitimately starting. And Brett Favre didn't want that. Brett Favre still wanted to play. While he was still healthy and able to play, he wanted to play. Green Bay was like, no, give it to the kid.
Yeah,
so he left.
It was time to pass the torch. Yeah, but it was kind of time to pass the torch anyway. I mean, he'd been in the league like over 12 years. Like, dude, have a seat. Have several seats. Matter of fact, have a stadium since you were in a stadium. So I'm not beating a dead horse, and it's not that I want to dodge that topic, because I do want to get into this cringe topic, because this is like cringe-worthy conversation.
Right. So I also found this. I'm just gonna read. What do you think? Should I read all 3 lists, or should I just read one of them? Okay, because the way how it's set up, everyone, is top 10 of all time NBA players, but Fox, ESPN, and Sports Illustrated did it, and it's like a picture in one. I'm just gonna read one of them, and Brian will put up the picture or whatever.
Yeah.
So everybody likes going to ESPN for everything, so I'm just gonna read off of top 10 all-time NBA players from ESPN. And now this is going through 1 through 10. Jordan, Michael Jordan, Kareem, LeBron at 3, Magic, Wilt Chamberlain, Larry Bird, Bill Russell at 7, Tim Duncan, Shaq at 9, and Akeem Olajuwon at 10.
All right. So what's coincidental about it before you continue is, like, looking at that list, it's like pick and choose. Like, some can be added, removed, whatever. But then it's like you look at Fox, and Fox kind of mimicked their lineup. So they had Jordan as 1. Like, everyone, all 3 were in consensus as Jordan being number 1. It was where everything else kind of was like in different orders. They had LeBron 2nd, Kareem 3rd, Shaq 4th, Duncan number 5, Magic 6, Bill Russell 7, Wilt at 8, Bird at 9, and the Dream at number 10. Then Sports Illustrated, like I said, they had Jordan first as well. Kareem was 2nd, Wilt was 3rd, Magic 4, LeBron 5, which I can go with that, because I mean, to put him above those names, which the other 2 did, I don't see how. Big O 6, which I was surprised he's left out. Larry Bird at 7, Bill Russell 8. Number 9 was Jerry West, the logo, which I don't understand why he's not on any other list. And Tim Duncan is number 10. So, 2 players that we both that I didn't really even acknowledge as being not on the list, but it's like a consensus as it's surprising that they didn't make either list, is Allen Iverson and Kobe Bryant. And this kind of goes into the love and hate. It's like where the media gives LeBron such a scrutiny and such a hard time about certain things. But here it is, nobody left LeBron off the list because they know, I ain't gonna say LeBron would take it personal, but this is something that they look at and always break down. Like, I'm never gonna take away from the fact that LeBron is a good basketball player. That's first and foremost.
I highly agree.
But then there's the other side of it, as well, there are a lot of guys, like, to be put in a position of naming 10 players is very
hard,
heavy, because I mean, you got to look at it as, all right, what are we basing these stats on? My factor of my rant and rave, I think, is always going to come down to a concept that no one wants to look at, but it's always going to be a part of the game, and that's eras. Every era of basketball is different. You go back to the 60s, there was one, what was it, 60s and 70s, you had no three-point line. 80s, the three-point line was introduced. Game was a little bit more physical. Like 70s and 80s, like 60s and 70s, it was more a lot of passing and one shot. You didn't really have a shot clock, I don't recall. 80s, the shot, like late 70s, early 80s, shot clock was introduced. But it was kind of like the team could kind of hold the ball and run a play as needed. You get into the 90s, whether anybody wants to acknowledge it, they had the Jordan rule. I think people might be mad for me saying that. But you had rules that continuation. There was no such thing as like, it was mainly, I'm not going to say that Jordan didn't earn a lot of the calls that he got, but it was more or less he worked towards getting his attempts of going to the free throw line. But it's so amazing because now here it is 2017. James Harden does a similar approach. They look at it as he's flopping, offensive flop or whatever, but he goes to the line trying to create contact. It's just a different type of game now.
That's also another conversation, Brian. You know, you look at and I don't mean to switch the subject, but you know, my younger brother, my older brother's 34. My younger brother's 27.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, my younger brother, I started watching. Shaq just came on the scene. My younger brother, when he started watching Jordan, he caught the tail end of Jordan.
Right.
So he saw Kobe, LeBron. When my older brother saw the beginning of Jordan, you know, the end of Magic, you know, from
caught the late 80s, yeah.
Caught the late 80s all the way up. So
back when Turner TV, yeah.
So with that being said, you know, everybody wants to compare. Oh, LeBron's better than Jordan. Oh, LeBron's better than this. LeBron's better than that. Well, what era are we talking about, Brian? Like, do you want to take LeBron and put him in the 90s? Or do you want to take Jordan and put him in the 2000s? Because if we put Jordan right now, with all the hand checking, I mean, I can walk over to you. I saw, Brian, I saw this. Lance Stevenson was standing next to LeBron, and he blew a kiss over to LeBron.
And
Foul. They called a foul. So with all this hand checking,
but the game now is like more so. Back in the day, it wasn't as much of a superstar call. Like there were like this guys in the NBA to this day. Like nothing against, and it's no. Before I continue, before I say anything further, this is not the LeBron bashing show because I'm not. That's not what I'm about. But there was a point where you could see LeBron play a game and take I ain't gonna say 8 steps, but he could take 4 or 5 steps and no one would call it because it was okay. If I call this travel, that means that it could turn the ball over and might affect the game or the score or whatever. Just like if you're, and I always have said this, I would be the worst referee because I'd be the referee to give LeBron his 6th foul and wouldn't blink because that's if you fouled, you fouled. Like when it was a shocker to me last year when Golden State played Cleveland and Steph Curry had got no 6 fouls during that game because a lot of people didn't expect. Number one, his reaction, it was what I expected because I already knew he felt like he shouldn't have been called for a lot of them, but the game went the way it did. But going back to the era, so all right, 2 things because I want to make sure I don't ignore the list. The list is media based and it's based on different sources of media who all have like how they come into looking at a team or looking at a player. Because as I mentioned with Breeze and as I tell people all the time, the NBA is more of an isolated sport, so it's a one-on-one. It's one versus is kind of a 1 versus 1 type of deal. Yeah. Like when LaMelo played Zion, it wasn't Big Baller Brand against South Carolina's basketball team. It was Zion against against LaMelo. So
no. See, my thing about the list though is like a lot of people, unless if you can actually legitimately. Say that you've seen some of those players, then you could put them on the list. Now, I can give my top 10 right now, but I could only go off the top 10 that I can actually sit here and legitimately go off of since I started watching in '92.
I mean, now, I could say, but I like on that list, I could say Dr. J could be on the list.
Exactly.
I feel like Dr. J was left off, and that's a unique circumstance. Now, but I mean, it's the
because if as of right now, from watching 1992, Brian, if I really wanted to go there. My starting 5 right now will be Shaq. Well, let me start from the guards all the way up. I'll have Allen Iverson at my point guard.
You name it starting 5, you gotta pick top 10.
Okay.
I gotta reel you back in because I know you was ready to go there. Top 10.
Okay, so my top 10.
Non-position.
Not top 10. Obviously, Jordan's gonna be number 1, but. I'm just gonna go freestyle underneath Jordan. So Jordan.
Yeah, you don't have to be like a legit 1 to 10 in order. I mean, Jordan would be first.
Okay.
There's no reason to take.
So I'll take Jordan, Shaq. I'll take Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan. So what is that? I just named what?
4.
4. I'd put in David Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I will put in Patrick Ewing.
Okay.
Reggie Miller. I will put in.
I think you had 7.
I put in Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
LeBron.
All right, you got one more.
And I will probably put in. You guys are gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna have to do it. My number 10 would be Robert Horry.
Here we go.
Robert Horry.
Here we go.
And you guys are gonna kill me for it.
Here we go.
And let me tell you this. This is why I'm gonna put Robert Horry in my top 10. And it has nothing to do with championships because he has one more than Jordan. He has 7 championships. But if you actually really think about it, he's won 2 with Houston. He's won 3 with L.A. And then he won his last couple with San Antonio. Now, with every single championship run that he went in, he always bailed his superstars out. It was Hakeem, Kenny Smith,
He didn't have to bail a lot in San Antonio though.
You're right.
He didn't have to bail like
But-
so I won't give him. I'll give you. I'm not cutting it short. I'm just the LA one. Yes, he did some bailing, quite a bit.
He had a lot of bailing out to do, and not only that he bailed them out, it was the fact that yes, he bailed out a lot of players. Now you guys are gonna be upset with that, but that's my own personal opinion. My own personal opinion is my own personal opinion. Like, why they leave Allen Iverson out of the top 10 of all time? I'm pretty pissed off at that. Allen Iverson was my dude.
Yeah. So the other part of it, the errors question, because I don't want to ignore it. When it came to who was like if you took a player from the current, like the example I always go with, I don't like doing the LeBron. I think LeBron playing in the 90s wouldn't have been a big issue. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think he would have had as much of a problem with the physical. The game is more catered to being as non-physical, not as physical as it used to be. But I feel as though LeBron should understand that even though people don't like saying it about basketball, it's still a physical sport. So those pieces being said, I don't think it would be a big deal for him if he went and played in the 90s and caught hands. But on the flip side of it, I feel like a player like Steph Curry ain't gonna get as many screens. You have to, he would be forced to have to take on a lot of the top guards, like an Isaiah Thomas from the 90s playing Steph Curry would be interesting to watch.
Yeah,
Magic playing Steph Curry in there, because you had to all so this is the other factor of the prime of the eras conversation, and I'm gonna say this and then I'll let you chip at it. If you take players and bring them either to this era or from that era, like if you took Magic and brought them to the current, you have to remember you're bringing these players to this era in their prime.
Yes.
So if you bring Isaiah, I'm saying Isaiah. Matter of fact, I'll just go to the full aggro. If you took the Bad Boys team from the 90s and brought them into the current era, like you mentioned before, they would get fouls. It would be fines and fouls all day. It'd
be like this. It'd be flagrant twos, and they'd be bringing in their bench players. They'd be bringing in the D League to fill in for the spots.
But I mean but the game, they also, it's I think they still, if they still were put in that constraint of having to play by the rules, they would play it. But they would also know oh, I could throw this cheap shot in, because most players, a lot of people don't see it enough in basketball. But I've watched enough games, even with the summer league, well, not summer league, but summer camp basketball or whatever you want, AAU. And I'm gonna talk about that briefly before I close, because that'll be the legit closer. But the summer, guys who play, when they play in different games, like AAU games, a person can take a shot. They might make a layup. The person will make the layup on there called and one. The referee will blow the whistle, and then because the player who got scored on is upset about it, he'll throw a cheap shot in. As long as they throw the cheap shot in the right way, that the referees don't see it, they look at it like, all right, everything good. But then you got those players who get caught with a cheap shot, and then they turn it into, let me flop, because I've seen professional athletes do it,
right.
And it's the same thing. So this is now going to be, so I guess, all right. So, since you dominated the majority of my podcast, and I'm going to be petty, and I ain't forgot about what you said earlier about the name of my business, and don't be putting me on blast like that. I will hit the mute button. Don't play me. Don't.
I'm not gonna say it this time.
Okay. I'm making sure, because I got, you lucky I ain't normally I'll be marking my podcast, but I ain't even, because he thinks this goes live, but little does he know. All right, so I got a good cue. So I'm gonna close out with the last couple minutes, because I kind of can run this shit for as long as I want, because I don't give a fuck. But I'm gonna ask you a couple of, since you're one of my first guests, I kind of get to throw wild cards of throwing questions that I feel like you may know answers to, and I'll give you time to think on them, and then if you got something, then we'll go from there.
Okay, sure.
So AAU basketball, good or bad for the NBA?
You want to know what? I'm not really one that actually went through the AAU process.
Okay.
I went strictly through high school, but if I have to look at it,
looking at it, all right, let me resize the question. Watching players such as LaMelo and Zion playing 60 games, in
All
the
right.
in the summer,
Well,
good or bad for them, like when it comes to their career.
they're gonna want to breaking down at some point.
Okay.
If they keep playing 60 games in a matter of a 3 month span, they're gonna want to breaking down. I've seen, a matter of fact, I'm gonna be straight up honest. I've seen a couple of AAU games and in my area, and majority of the AAU games are more that I've seen personally,
Mm-hmm.
or they talk about the individual player.
Right.
It's just about me, myself, and I. So when they actually transition to
College.
playing college or the NBA, especially if they want to go to like Duke, where they actually have to legitimately pass.
Yeah, run an off like run
An offense.
Yeah.
They're gonna be in a rude awakening. So,
Right.
but I mean, if they go to like Kentucky with Kyler Perry or whatever Tyler Perry or whatever.
Yeah, with Kyler Perry. Yeah.
Whatever his name is.
I'm a Kentucky fan. Don't play. Continue.
All right, so if they go through his
regiment. Yeah.
then they'll be okay.
Right.
But if they want to go to like Duke or Michigan or North Carolina or like one of these teams that actually legitimately plays team ball, it's not going to be good for them because of the fact that they're going to have a rude awakening, be sitting on the bench, and then you'll find out that they're going to want to dropping out of school or playing I know Kentucky does a one and done thing, but it's not going to really.
It won't pan out.
It won't pan out too well.
Okay. All right. Since you got the shirt on and since you mentioned him as a fan, who would you be willing to see have a better season this year? Ben Simmons or Markelle Fultz? Or better yet, no. Go answer that first, and then I got my next question.
Well, Ben Simmons has to get back on the court first.
Right. So that's gonna go into my next question.
So
Simmons they said Simmons should be ready by season time, right? Okay.
Simmons has to get back on the court. I want to see. I went to a couple Sixers game. I went to a Sixers game this year, and it just sucked not seeing Simmons on there. All the hype. But if they actually legitimately get back, if he gets back on the court and Fultz is on the court too, I would love to see both of them actually excel at the same rate.
Okay.
So where that way the team is getting better.
So if I put you in a position to say who would be Rookie of the Year projected with those two being the higher choices, who would you pick?
I'd be happy with either one.
But you gotta pick one.
I'd be happy with either one. I want to say Simmons. I want to say Simmons, but I see him having like a comeback player So I want to see Fultz actually. Legitimately, honestly, I want to see Fultz get it.
Okay.
Because I see more of Simmons getting a comeback player.
All right. Better home for the Nets, Brooklyn or New Jersey?
They did so far in the last.
Since they've been in Brooklyn now for about 5 or 6 years, give or take, probably longer.
I still say New Jersey, to be honest.
Okay.
Only reason why is, they really, after they left New Jersey, they just went on a decline.
Okay.
After they left, and when they were at I know that the last year that they were in New Jersey, they didn't do so well, but they still aren't that good. I still see them as New Jersey, and this is me coming from New Jersey.
Right, that's why I asked you.
And grew up in New Jersey. I still see him as New Jersey.
Okay. I just had a good one. Oh, wild card. All right, so this is the last sports one, and I got like 2 gaming joints. So I know it's like, all right, you asking him all these questions. What doesn't he know? Rodman or Noah?
That really depends on
Rodman or Noah. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
if you picking a team and you need to pick a guy to be your all right, we picking a 5-on-5. I picked one. No, you got the opportunity to pick between 2 of them, and they the last 2 left. Who would you get?
I pick up Dennis Rodman.
Okay. All right. So those are my sports questions. So all right, as y'all know, I always do the stuff. So this is the stuff part. Mario 1, 2, and 3, or Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3?
Shit. You You gotta throw that at me.
That's right. I told you I was gonna get my get back.
Okay. As much as I love the Marios, I grew up playing Crash, so I might have to go with Crash.
Okay. All right. So now you go on to the next level. Crash 1, 2, and 3, or Sonic 1, 2, and 3.
Shit. I'm still gonna want to probably stick with Crash.
All right.
That's
not NBA. NFL Madden or NFL Game Day.
I'm gonna have to go with Madden.
All right. Madden or NFL 2K.
Never liked.
You didn't like 2K?
I didn't like the 2K, the NFL 2Ks.
Okay. Trying to think of one good one that I can throw that's like a huge trick 'em up. If you could pick, if you had the option to do the cover, we won't, since we can't do 2K18 for obviously since they already have one. If you felt as though there was a player that you could put on the cover athlete for Madden 19, and NBA 2K19, who would you put?
You know what? Since 2K is starting to go, since 2K has been going retro for a while, you know, putting Jordan on one cover, putting Bird on one cover. I would like to see Iverson
come back
on the cover of one, doing his iconic stepping over Lou.
Okay.
I like to see that. As far as Madden,
keep the Madden curse in mind, by the way.
Yes, that's what I'm gonna do. I'd like to see Matt Stafford on there.
I mean, ain't much left, but okay.
I'd like to see Matt Stafford.
Well, they put Jay Cutler.
Well, Jay Cutler's not on the on Chicago right now.
They're gonna do it for retro purposes. All right, let me see. All right, last question I have. Listen, I could throw questions for like almost an hour if I wanted to. This is a music question. Even if it was, Stevie Wonder or Michael Jackson. As far as like a legit, I'll base it on a Pandora base. I don't know if you haven't listened to Pandora, but if you was to start off an album, a Pandora playlist, would you prefer to start the Michael Jackson playlist or would you prefer to start the Stevie Wonder playlist?
I'd actually put Michael Jackson first.
Okay.
All right. Well, since we're doing questions, I got one question for you, Brian.
Here you go. All right.
Okay. So, if they would have made out right now, you went to the store right now, and you all of a sudden just see NBA Jam, or you see NBA Streets sitting right on the counter, spanking brand new, spanking brand new NBA Streets, and a spanking brand new NBA Jam.
Okay.
Which one will you go to?
From the original ones that came out, NBA Jam.
What? Okay.
I have nothing. I like NBA Streets 3-on-3 concept was great. The scoring was very quick. The one feature and this is 2%, this might not be part of the question, but it'll tie into it. One feature that NBA Jam back in the day would have been great to have, but you can't do it obviously for console purposes. If you had online gameplay for that, would have loved it. Okay. Like I've played the current NBA Jam online. Yeah, I get what they're trying to do, but I could run my OP because I got a skull team, and I could pick them, and it felt like you could win, but it also wasn't as fun. Like you had the teams on NBA Jam were interesting, and for me personally, I was tournament edition because they had a cheat code that you could use a different team every quarter. So.
Yeah, I like the fact that like the one code that I used to use was the Bill Clinton code.
I used it. I never used the same team each quarter. I had 3 teams. I literally had 4 teams. Matter of fact, this will be my closeout. My 4 teams will surprise you. First quarter, I used Orlando.
Okay.
Second quarter, I used Washington. I think it was what's his name? Matt Chaney, whatever his name was. Chaney and Weber.
Okay.
Or, no, Skiles and Weber, I'm sorry. Third quarter, I used Golden State. And fourth quarter, I used Utah. Stockton Malone.
So I have a closeout question, Brian. You can't answer this. Let me know what people's answers are.
Okay.
True gamers would know this. What's the Mortal Kombat code for Sega Genesis?
All right, I guess that'll be the closeout question because I don't even know that one. But I'm gonna leave that. We're not gonna say that. We're gonna talk about it off site because we can't talk about it on the show.
Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Because you left it as the question, and maybe I could do that as a. So I have friends of mine who have mentioned doing giveaways.
Play dumb.
I guess I could do a giveaway. No, I'm gonna do a giveaway. If you happen to know what the code is, and you said it's Mortal Kombat. This is the original Mortal Kombat, right?
Original Mortal Kombat for Sega Genesis.
So it's an original Mortal Kombat code. I personally will buy you a set of Control Freaks. If you're into Control Freaks, if not, I'll give you a gift card, PayPal, like a $15 gift card, from Amazon or something. Because I do want to find ways to give back. Because I know a lot of people do listen, and I've seen where giveaways do work, and it gets people's attention. Because I have seen someone do a giveaway. It was for makeup apparel, and it was not something I could do, so I just was listening in support. Yay! So, Mortal Kombat, original Mortal Kombat. What was the cheat code? If you know it, leave a comment Leave a comment on Spreaker.com, which I'm sorry, I am the worst podcaster because I should have did this shit at the beginning. But when you do shit on the fly, it goes the way it does. So if you are listening, or if you would like to listen to any previous episodes, they are on passpodcast.com. The podcast is being hosted and recorded using and uploaded to Spreaker.com. That's where I host my shows. And of course, the microphone that you probably have heard us be very egregiously loud, which I just made that word up. But we were pretty in depth and in tune, is the Blue Yeti microphone. So if you all do or do not know, Blue Yeti is Bay. So that is that. If you're not following on social media, Past Podcasts, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I may do Pinterest soon. I don't know yet. You want to give any social throws before we finish? While you got music playing in the background, it's copyrighted. I can't have on my page.
Well,
you said it.
No music. Well, Let
me turn. Oh wait, let me make sure it's not my music.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I just want to say this. I found this. I started showing this to Brian.
Mm-hmm.
You know, look into the parody of Michael Jackson and Michael Trapson. That's actually pretty a good little parody.
All right, you got any shout outs you want to give before you close out?
Just Brian, thanks for having me on the show.
Hopefully, we'll do another show again. Well, actually, have it more organized next time because I did kind of throw questions. Like, we were literally thinking about it on the way back to the room. Like, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. I guess I'll think of something, and here we are. So, it is what it is. Thanks for tuning in. I guess that'll be my outro to add to what I normally do as an outro. And, yeah. So, until next time, Past Podcast signing out. Y'all take it easy. Did you make it to the end of the episode? If so, I do appreciate you listening and tuning in. These episodes get more and more valuable, and I do appreciate everyone taking time to sit down and listen to the episode. Whether you're actually listening to it once it's uploaded on Spreaker.com/Brate Podcast, or if you're downloading it and listening to it on your own convenience. If you want to check out any previous episodes, just check out that page. And if you'd like to inquire or provide any information or feedback or suggestions toward the podcast, please send those emails to pastpodcastbt@gmail.com. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Enjoy your day. Have a good week and be positive.